We live in a culture obsessed with generational labels. We spend endless hours debating the habits of baby boomers, poking fun at millennials, and dissecting Gen Z as if they are a fascinating new species. But hidden in plain sight, quietly holding society together, is an entire demographic we almost never talk about: Generation X. Born roughly between 1965 and 1980, these are the seasoned colleagues who just put their heads down and get the job done, the seemingly detached parents, and the very architects of the internet who rarely bother posting about their personal lives online. To truly understand Gen X, you have to look at the unique, often overlooked environment that forged their psychology. They were the original latchkey kids. Picture this. It is 1978. You are an 8-year-old walking home from school to a completely empty house because both of your parents are at work. There are no cell phones, no tracking apps, and no video doorbells. You let yourself in, whip up a snack, tackle your homework, and just wait. By the early 80s, millions of kids were essentially self-governing after 3 p.m. This was not just about making a sandwich, it was a daily crash course in self-reliance that taught an entire generation that actions have direct, immediate consequences. If you messed up, there was no safety net to catch you. You had to fix it yourself. As they grew up, Gen X watched the societal rules shift right beneath their feet. They saw the perfect nuclear family ideal fracture as divorce rates skyrocketed. They watched their parents give their prime years to massive corporations only to be rewarded with pink slips during the next wave of layoffs. The old promise of working hard and playing by the rules turned out to be a myth. So Gen X adapted. They built an emotional armor. They are not inherently cynical, they just expect the rug to be pulled out from under them because historically it always was. This realism was also fueled by growing up under the looming shadow of the Cold War. They sat in classrooms practicing duck and cover drills, told that hiding under a wooden desk would somehow save them from a nuclear blast. When adults insist everything is fine while actively preparing for the apocalypse, you learn to spot nonsense pretty quickly. As a result, Gen X uses irony and dark humor as a shield. When it came to work, Gen X was thrown into the deep end early with unglamorous hands-on jobs where you actually had to calculate change in your head when the register broke. Because they saw corporate loyalty die with their parents' generation, Gen Xers are fiercely loyal to their own competence instead. They respect actual skill over fancy titles. Notice how few Gen Xers are oversharing on social media? They grew up when privacy was the default. The idea of broadcasting their entire lives for strangers to consume does not feel exciting to them. It feels risky. They also value knowledge differently because they had to physically work for it by navigating library card catalogs and spending hours reading. Information had a physical cost, which built a mechanical intuition. If your bike broke, you grabbed a screwdriver and figured it out. Now they look at the modern world and worry that younger generations might be missing out on the grit that comes from being left alone to figure things out. Generation X is the ultimate bridge generation. They stand squarely between an analog world that no longer exists and a digital future they helped build. They are perhaps the last generation that truly knows how to be alone with their thoughts, how to be bored, and how to solve a problem without asking the internet. And true to their nature, they're just standing in the middle, holding it all together, quietly doing the work, and completely unbothered if no one ever gives them a trophy for it.